M1 Global presents.
Уважаемые поклонники смешанных единоборств, представляем вашему вниманию супербой в весовой категории до 93 килограммов.
Подготовка к бою была в Старом Осколе. Готовились как обычно, боролись, боксировали. Соперник очень сильный физически. Так вроде бьет неплохо, борется хорошо. Посмотрим. Желаю показать красивый бой. Желаю удачи.
Соперник очень опытный, очень хороший боец. Много видел его бои. Бой я очень нормально готовился, я к бою. Готовился тоже заслуженный тренер по тайм-боксу Alexander Nevsky. Готов до конца драться.
Уважаемые дамы и господа, спортсмен в синем углу ринга из клуба «Боевой Орел», город Хасавюрт, представляет клуб «Легион».
Nemkov perennially is a challenger at the 93 kilogram or 205 pound division in M1, but the problem with Nemkov really has been that he has so many responsibilities outside of mixed martial arts. To, I believe, hand-to-hand combat, also to combat sambo, and he's often not able to compete really. So we haven't seen him that much.
So
even though he's very strong.
He must make a choice in which direction he will go eventually.
I think this is heading towards, of course, with the 93 kilogram belt being vacated by Vinny Magalhaes, then Sergey Filimonov taking it in one of the best fights of 2012 against Marcin Zontek, and now really the lineup of fighters ready to challenge Sergey Filimonov is not without Nemkov. Nemkov really should be at the top of that lineup, and for sure challenging for the belt. He really has to make a decision about where his priorities lie.
And that is something that nobody else than he himself has to do it. Of course, his coaches and the audience will be of some influence, but in the end, it's the fighter itself who has to say, I want to choose for MMA or I want to choose for sambo. And this guy has so much sambo titles that I would not be surprised if he goes for the sport more instead of the fact that he can make some money in MMA.
For sure, and a lot of the time these guys, especially the ones that make it really to the top of their amateur sports, that is enough for them. They all tend to work or study outside of the taking part in the sport. And so mixed martial art, which really deserves or demands a lot of attention, demands a lot of time, perhaps more than amateur sport does, is sometimes more difficult as a choice.
And do you know what the social career of Viktor Nemkov is? Is he a student? Did he finish some college or university?
I believe he's finished studying. I believe he works. So what his profession is, I don't know, but I believe that he works, and then Viktor Nemkov, the winner of the World Sambo Combat Sambo Cup in 2009, and won Selection National Team Championship silver medalist, though they were runners-up in 2009, National Combat Sambo Champion of the Russian Federation 2011, and World Combat Sambo Champion 2011. One of the most popular fighters in Russia, of course, training with Fedor Emelianenko in Stary Oskol, living in Stary Oskol, fighting Gadzhimurad Antigulov, representing the Legion team from Rostov-on-Don. Physically very strong grappler, and not the biggest light heavyweight, but very, very strong. Trains with the Fighting Eagle team in Khasavyurt, but representing the Legion team.
Yeah, Antigulov said that if he doesn't win this fight, he will go down to middleweight, and that might be a smart thing for him because he's not so big.
He's not so big, but he's very, as we see, he's quite heavily muscled. There's not much fat, if any fat, on his frame. He has very big legs. If you look at his legs compared to Nemkov, as he tries to take Nemkov down and succeeds with a double, as he tries to really
try to muscle him down and
gain the dominant position.
In half guard.
And gets Nemkov on the ground. Is now comfortably sitting in a half guard position. And from here, really, we will see his intention. Is he going to try and TKO Nemkov? Is he going to try and tenderize him on the bottom? Or is he going to try and go for a submission, for which he's going to have to pass the guard either into mount or into side control to work from there. And also at the same time, we're going to see what Nemkov can do from his back, whether he's content to lie there and wait for the referee stoppage tying up Antigulov, or if he is going to try and be offensive. As we see Nemkov getting to his knees, with Antigulov grabbing a very loose guillotine, which lets go.
Hey!
And a knee thrown to the chest.
No, this was a risky technique.
A risky technique with the opponent.
If he had hit the face.
Yeah. And
because it must be clear, in a 3-point position, it's not allowed to knee or kick to the head. If one of the fighters is in the knee,
for sure,
in the 3-point position, the fighter who stands up is not allowed to kick or knee to the head. He can punch, but in this case he held the head, and I really thought that it was just an inch away from the face, and it connected with the chest, so he was lucky.
Yeah, it was pretty close. And Antigulov really has to be very careful of that, because obviously if he lands a hard knee to the head, where Nemkov is in 3-point position, where he's considered to be a grounded fighter, and Nemkov cannot continue, then Nemkov is going to win by disqualification. As we see Nemkov sweeping Antigulov, who straight away turns around and gets a single on Nemkov. Now they're back on their feet with Antigulov, trying to get the fight back to the ground, where he's been successful in doing it, but hasn't managed to do much once the fight is actually on the ground. And here Nemkov is again on his back with butterfly guard this time on the left hand side and an open on the right. Antigulov is very heavily muscled in. I'm not sure how easily it's going to be for him to get down to middleweight if he, as he says, decides to do that should he lose this fight.
And he definitely will lose some muscle also. That's a choice that he has to make. And maybe he looks at all the other fighters from other countries, how much they lose, and if they can do it, he must think, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
For sure, as we see Nemkov get Antigulov in the triangle position, Antigulov is trying to get his head out, with Nemkov trying to cinch up his legs.
Bring it in the knee.
And Antigulov manages to separate Nemkov's legs and continues his assault from the top. A little up kick landed to the jaw of Antigulov by Nemkov, and now Antigulov is back Nemkov's open guard.
But Nemkov looks quite comfortable in this position. He is not disturbed by the fact that Antigulov is taking the initiative, and you see that it looks like Antigulov is doing most of the action, but in fact Nemkov is quite in control, and you see that he tried to apply a triangle a moment ago.
For sure.
And here you see he's just lying and waiting for Antigulov to come back.
And a good push off from Nemkov, and they're back on their feet. Nemkov is very comfortable on his back. One of the few Russian fighters that look comfortable off their back and actually attack off their back, where the guy on top really has to be worried about being submitted whilst he's trying to do what he wants to do. And now, in the stand-up fight, Antigulov looks like he's really tired. He looks like he's expended a lot of energy trying to get the fight to the ground and keep it there. As Nemkov easily pushes him back down, and now has the top position over, but lets him stand back up.
And that's a body punch followed by a left hook.
That was good. Nemkov starting to use combinations. Antigulov really not seeing
if he had followed up with a right low kick, because he gave a right body punch, left hook, and then you should follow if you take the Dutch style from kickboxing, then it's always finish everything up with a low kick.
And very, very good advice. As the first round comes to an end with Gadzhimurad Antigulov of the Legion Team Russia representing Rostov-on-Don fighting Viktor Nemkov representing the Alexander Nevsky Club fighting out of Stary Oskol, of course Fedor Emelianenko's hometown, as we see the very first strike of the fight with Nemkov trying for a head kick, Antigulov trying to bring him down. And here is one of the few times that Nemkov's been on the ground, one of the few strikes that have landed for Antigulov, and here is the very ginger armbar attempt that then became a triangle. And that little combination right at the end of the first round. The commentators for Russia too.
Nice combination again, and now he makes the low kick, you see.
And interesting from Antigulov, who's now looking like he's going to trade a little bit on the feet with Nemkov, as opposed to trying to take the fight to the ground. Oh no. I spoke too soon. As Antigulov grabs a single and tries to bring Nemkov down, who's trying to creep around the back of Antigulov to get his back, get his hooks in. And there's somewhat of a stalemate. Which Antigulov finishes by bringing Nemkov down to the ground and ending up in his half guard.
You see, Nemkov doesn't look worried at all, huh?
No, he obviously very experienced fighter. Nemkov has 19 fights, 15 of which he's won, compared to Antigulov 7, so he's more than twice, 2.5 times in fact.
And really, you can see that Antigulov is tired already because he was leaning on his knee, bending forward and gasping for air.
For sure. Nemkov, I think, is just getting started. And Nemkov pulls out a guillotine. I don't think there's an arm in that.
There's no arm there.
He continues to pull the guillotine, and is that it? Has the fight been stopped?
Yeah, it looks like.
And Kisilov has stopped the fight. That's it. And Nemkov grabs a very easy guillotine.
I could not see if he tapped, but maybe he tapped with the other hand.
To me, it looked like Kisilov stopped the fight because he thought that Antigulov had gone limp. I don't believe it looked like he tapped. I don't think that the referee for tonight's fight, Vyacheslav Kisilov, I don't think he thought that there was a tap. But it seems to me like he thought that Antigulov had gone limp. And it was just a strange, really a strange position. As we see here, look at Antigulov's arms.
Yeah, but he went limp.
It kind of looks like he went a little bit limp.
Check here, check here. Check the arm is just dangling.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a good decision by the referee.
Yeah. Nemkov has that very tight. Look at his arm underneath on the other side of Antigulov's.
Yeah.
He's
There's
not
no
going to go
action.
anywhere from that.
He's not using his arms to defend himself. The arm is just dangling.
And Nemkov is going to sit on this all day. Nemkov is a tall fighter. He's quite a lot taller than Antigulov.
Check, you can see it. The arm is completely limp.
Yeah.
No action to try to get out.
Yeah.
And now he can look very surprised, but this was a good decision.
For sure. And Nemkov, again, just like Weichel in the previous fight, looks like it was just another day at the office. I think this is a fight which he probably thought that he should win easily. And now we see the referee talking to Antigulov's teammates again, as the official decision is to be announced.
Does he refuse to go to the center of the ring?
Yeah, for refusing to go into the center of the ring, things like that, I think that the team should be punished. I think there should be sanctions.
Viktor Nemkov.
This is really something that M1 must...
The second minute of the second round versus a guillotine choke, Viktor Nemkov takes the win.
Виктор, твои комментарии.
Очень рад победе. Долго тренировались. Бой пошел не так, как я ожидал, но, слава богу, выиграл. Вот. Спасибо всем за поддержку. Очень приятно.
Если Gadzhimurad попросит о реванше.
Ну да, как тренера решат. Менеджер.
Спасибо, с победой!
Хочу передать жене привет. Очень люблю ее. Вот. И ребенку своему Ярославу. Спасибо большое.
Виктор Немков.